What is up everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So my RX3 is actually on the workshop. My Capi30 is also on the workshop because there is a lockdown in our state. I've been sitting in home and I suddenly wanted to talk about the 808 and the RX3. So what is the difference between a 808 and a RX3? Why some people call it 808, why some call it RX3? How do we differentiate if it is a RX3 or it is a 808? So in today's video, I'm going to talk about 808 and RX3. So before this video gets started, please, the disclaimer of this video is what I'm going to talk next. It is based on the research on the internet and also based on me and my dad, our experience of having this car among the years, and it is about the JDM model. For the USDM model, I'm not so sure because in my country Malaysia, all the Mazda, all the import car is actually imported from Japan. We don't have a USDM model here. JDM model is quite common in our country, so I know them better than the USDM model, so I'm gonna talk about the JDM model. If I did any mistake, I say anything wrong, please correct me in the comment section below. So before we get to know about 808 and RX3, you have to know that it is not only 808 and RX3. There is a 808 10A, 808 12A, RX3 10A and RX3 12A. But don't get confused first because I'm going to explain every single model of what I've just said just now. So now let's start talking about the difference between 808 and RX3. To make it short, the body of the 808 and RX3 is actually the same, but RX3 is using a rotary engine, meanwhile the 808 is using a piston engine. And for the RX3, it is a 4 rounded lengths, meanwhile the 808 is 2 rounded lengths or the 2 square lengths. And RX3 and 808 has different design in terms of the dashboard, the seats, the steering wheels, the tail lamps and a lot more. But this is for the coupe and the sedan, but for the wagon, the tail lamps, they are using the same design. So now you roughly know a little bit about their difference, which is the engine is rotary and one is piston. And now let's get into it more detail. So 808 10A is basically a flat nose. The front end is a flat nose. As you can see here, the front end is actually 2 square length, and for the back side, as you can see this one, the tail lamp is also square. And for the interior, this is the interior, but some of it came with the deep disc steering, which is same with the RX3 but without a rotary center horn button badge. So the 808 10A is basically look like this, and it running with a 1.3 liter piston engine. And another model of 808 is called 808 12A. So for the 12A, the difference between a 10A and a 12A is the front nose. For the 12A, the front nose is more sharp. It is 2 rounded lengths, and for the tail lamps, it is a long tail lamps instead of the square shaped tail lamps. And for the interior, it is quite same, but sometimes the center console of a 12A 808 comes with center console which is same like the 12A RX3, but that is only for the SN4A chassis. Oh yeah, by the way, for the chassis, 808 chassis has STC, SU4A and SN4A. So STC is basically using the 1.3 liter piston engine, which we call it TC, and for the SU4A, it is a 1.5, I guess it is a 1.5 liter engine, and for the SN4A, it is a 1.6 liter piston engine. And the Mazda 808 is also called as Mazda Familia, quite the same like the RX2 and the Capella. One is the rotary engine, one is the piston model. It has the same body type, but there is some difference between the tail lamps, the front end, the interior and a lot more. And also like the R100 and the Mazda Familia Presto, one is using the rotary engine and one is the Familia using the piston engine. So for the 808, just like I said, it is a 10A and a 12A, so I guess you guys know about these two models. And now let's jump to the RX3 model. The same thing with the 808. RX3 also have a 10A and a 12A. So for the RX3 10A, it is using 4 rounded lengths. So this is the picture of the front end looks like. For the 808 10A, it is a flat nose, but for the RX3 10A, it is not flat, but it is not as sharp as the 12A RX3. So as you can see here, it is not so sharp, but it is not so flat too. And for the 10A RX3, it is using a 1.0 liter rotary engine 10A. So the capacity of the engine is 1 liter. And for the tail lamps of the 10A RX3, which is this one, and this tail lamp, some people call it teacups because the shape of these chrome parts here looks like a teacup. Yeah, basically. And for the interior, this is the interior, and the center console is actually slightly different than the 808 and also the RX3 12A. It is totally different and it has a special design this way. And the steering wheel, sometimes it came with this one, but sometimes it comes with this one. So RX3 10A is basically the early model of RX3, which they use the early model of the rotary engine, which is 10A rotary engine, which they use it in the R100. And about RX3 10A, it is basically just like that. This is the front end, this is the rear, and for the interior and the engine is a 10A. So now let's jump to the 12A RX3. So for the 12A RX3, the front is also a full rounded headlamps, but this time they changed the design. The front nose looks a little bit sharper than the 10A's. It's not a little bit, it is very sharp and it is very aggressive look. For the tail lamps, sometimes people use these tail lamps, but sometimes people use these hexagon tail lamps. For the RX3, it is actually using these tail lamps, but for the Savannah, I think it is using the hexagon tail lamps, but I'm not so sure about this. I mean, there is 2 tail lamps used in the 12A RX3. And for the interior part, it is using the center console with the 3-gauge center console, and this is the center console, and this thing costs a lot of money. And for the engine, it is using a 12A rotary engine, which is a 1.2 liter rotary engine. As you know that the name of the model is also the same as the name of the engine, just like a 10A RX3 using a 10A rotary engine and a 12A RX3 is using a 12A rotary engine. For the chassis number, 10A RX3 is called S102A, and for 12A RX3 it is called S124A. And now I've talked about 808 10A, 12A, RX3 10A, 12A. For the variation of this model, they are a sedan 4-door, a coupe, and also a wagon. For a 4-door, it has 808 4-doors, RX3 4-doors, and for the coupe, it has 808 coupe, RX3 coupe, and for the wagon, it has 808 wagon and also a RX3 wagon, which they call it rotary wagon. So now I will take some picture of 4 of this model and I will compare from the front end, the rear, the interior, the tail lamps, the engine and everything. So this is an 808 10A front end, and this is the 808 12A, and this is the RX3 10A, and this is the RX3 12A. And for the rear, this is the 808 10A, 808 12A, RX3 10A, and also RX3 12A, but this one is the hexagon tail lamps. And for the interior, this one is the interior of the 808 10As, 808 12A, RX3 10A, and RX3 12A. And for the engine, this one is an 808 1.3 liter engine, and this one is the 1.6 NA engine, and this one is the RX3 10A engine, and this one is the RX3 12A engine. It is just like that basically, but one day I'm gonna make a video about it, because in one video I'm not able to talk about each and every model in detail, but I can share about roughly about their difference, their engine, their interior. I hope today's video really gave you guys some information about it, and I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I'm sorry that my car has been sitting for a very long time. I did not make any vlogs because there's a lockdown in our state and we are not able to go out because of the virus stuff. Yeah, a lot of things get postponed, just like my KP30 builds. Now it is actually building the brakes are done and they are now trying to start the engine up. And for the RX3, it is still on the body process. They are sanding the body and get the body ready to paint. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Please stay safe everyone, and if you like my video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel and leave any comments if I did anything wrong. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I'll see you guys in the next video.